The following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, and some interesting new characters.
No, wait. They're all dead.
Wait. All of them? Even the little guy?
Yeah, even the little guy.
Rats.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. The dead are coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, an all Walking Dead universe podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, and welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve. Bonjour.
Bonjour. And this is podcast episode number 311. This week we're going to be covering the second episode of the premiere season of The Ones Who Live. Title of the episode is Bye.
Bye.
We out of here. Bye. Oh, jeez. Before we fall apart, let's just get talking about the episode, because it's just a matter of time. So I went first last week, so it's your turn to go first. Steve, why don't you do quick thoughts on how you felt about episode 2 of The Ones Who Live? Title of the episode, Bye.
Bye.
What did you think?
Well, first of all, I think of I just get an image of Sydney Sweeney in my head going bye. But anyway, as far as the episode went, I went back and forth on this. Watched it twice. I know you watched it twice as well. And there were a couple of like moments in the episode that I really liked. You know, and I think there's certainly, you know, the reunion scene, you know, obviously it's something that the fans have been clamoring for years and years and years now. And it was really nice to see the two of them actually get back together and, you know, oh my God, it's you. And, you know, and all this stuff. And absolutely no questions about where they've been. They just were happy to be together, you know, like you do on a TV show.
Right.
But there also was some moments that I really questioned in terms of like, would we be making these decisions really? This, you know, we're going to do this, and so I don't know. I clearly this show is way better than Fear the Walking Dead could ever hope to be.
Oh God.
So it's certainly, I'm enjoying watching it way more than I enjoyed watching that show.
Right.
But it's not necessarily grabbing me. It's certainly not grabbing me the way that the Daryl show did.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I still find it so interesting that out of like, say, all the three of them, I wouldn't say I was interested in Daryl's the least, but I didn't think that his would be the one that would hook you as quickly.
Yeah.
Out of the three of these. And
I don't know if that's just because of the new setting of being in France where everything is foreign, literally, you know, you know what I mean? Whereas, you know, here we're still in America, so we're still kind of trolling over the same ground that we've covered for, you know, 10 plus years. And it's the CRM, and while we don't know a lot about the CRM, we know something about them, whereas the Daryl show, it was all new. I don't know. But, I mean, this show also, I would say it hasn't grabbed me yet as much as Dead City did either. And Dead City wasn't the greatest show, but you know, the whole idea of New York and the, you know, the kind of weird culture they set up was interesting. And this show so far, it's like I said, that there have been some moments I've really enjoyed. There have been some interesting decisions that have been made that I'm kind of questioning. So I'm still not sure what I think. And I think at this point, I'm kind of at the tipping point in that if it keeps going, I could end up really liking it. And I could also end up going like, oh my God, I'm not really enjoying this. So we'll have to see. Well, what did you think? What was your diagnosis?
Well, I sort of fell on your side on the analysis, but gave it a little bit more strength than I think that you did. it's tough because Michonne is probably my favorite character, which is one of the reasons I was looking forward to this show as much as I was. So she gets a pass in a lot of things for me personally, but I feel like already you're going to be, like you were saying, with the newness of some of the stuff that we were seeing with, even though we know some CRM stuff, a lot of those situations with Rick were all new and new people and new all of this other stuff, because we had to catch up on all of those years from the bridge. Now, we didn't have to catch up on all those years from the bridge with Michonne because she was on the series still.
Yeah, for a little while, yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing we needed to catch up on was like the last like year or two where she's been out on the road trying to find him, yada yada. And you know, the group that she found, they weren't terrible. They were just kind of like a little too, I don't know. It just felt a little too convenient, some of the stuff, especially considering like, you know, the outfit they put her in and everything was really good. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
They gave off this vibe like they were just sort of this like fly-by-night group of people. I don't know. Like, it maybe that was just a poor writing choice. I just didn't, I don't know. But I didn't, there are some things that Michonne did that I was like, I wasn't sure about her sticking around with these people. I know that she wanted to get a horse, but she had exhibited, she was fine without one. She was ready to go. She was just asking if she could have one, and if not, bye-bye.
Yeah.
So I'm curious why she stayed. And then when she did, then it's like, okay, great. Now she's gotten connected with people, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I don't know that she would have done that. She was very, very laser focused on finding Rick, or at least getting to where his last location was, yada, yada. So that, and also like, yeah, some of the stuff at the very end, like Rick's choices, I don't know how I feel about that. But I did like the group of people she found, at least the three that we got to know very well. I mean, the two, it was obvious they were going to die, but I was actually kind of surprised when Nat died. And then, so I thought that was really good. They were a good addition. You know, some of the, you know, I love the scream sticks, and, you know, and I liked some of the action, and there was some ghoul stuff that was really good. And like you said, no matter what, even if we're being critical of certain things, this is still entertaining to watch. Does it grab you? Does it connect with you? You know, that remains to be seen. But it's still characters that we love in situations that are, you know, sometimes slightly familiar, you know, fighting zombies, and, you know, seeing Michonne ride on a horse and like slash a ghoul's head off. I mean, it's definitely an image we've seen before, but it's great. It's a great image to see, and it's nice to have it back. So I feel like I liked it a little bit more than you, but I also liked this episode 2, a little bit less than last week, which I was surprised by. I was surprised that I would connect with a Michonne episode a little bit less. So yeah, and like I said, there are some things in this episode that I really, really liked. But yeah, there's some choices and some directions they're going in that I'm cautious about. I don't hate them, but I'm cautious about where they may be going with them. So there's a lot more It Remains to Be Seen in this episode than there was in the last one. And we only have 6. So, you know, that's not good. So, yeah. So, yeah, about that. Anyway, so that's my thoughts. Pretty good. Not a great episode, and I liked it a little less than last week, I guess, is the sort of the headline on that one. So, yeah. So let's move into talking about our main points. But before we do that, let's remind ourselves about this episode and what we are expecting from this episode by reading the episode description.
All right. Well, let's do that. That's usually my domain.
And let me just correct myself, because I actually called this episode Bye, and it's not. It's Gone.
Yes, I was going to tell you that when we got to the break that we probably want to re-record that opening bit again, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, I thought the episode was called Bye. It wasn't Bye. It was Gone. And then
for them to call it Years Gone and then Bye. So my bad, folks. So episode 2 is actually Gone. We'll do the funny things where we say bye. We'll do that next week.
Yeah, but I mean, we should probably just re-record this, and you should cut all that out. That's what you should do. I know you're going to hate that because it's going to require you to do more work, but that's what you should do.
We should, but I won't. It's too much work at this point.
Okay.
So we'll go with it's 1.2 Gone. And sorry about the mistake, folks.
Wow. Okay. All right. So the episode, this week's episode is being brought to you by...
Get ready for action. Whoa! Get ready for excitement. Ooh. Get ready for chlorine gas. It's the CRM Air and Water Show happening this weekend at Bridgers Terminal. Yes, it's that time of the year when you can get a glimpse of the cutting-edge military of the CRM. You'll see all of the latest black helicopters and the precision bombing, flying, that you've come to expect from the CRM. And after the flying exhibition, you're welcome to stay for the CRM cookout. And don't worry about those fires. The CRM will make sure that everything burns. All children under 12 will receive a free scream stick. So come for the chlorine gas, stay for the warm campfires. The CRM Air and Water Show has it all. See you this weekend at Bridgers Terminal, because the CRM would hate to miss you.
Wow, just to think that even in 10 years after the end of everything, there's still air and water shows.
Yeah, and I bet there'll still be people that will complain about the noise, kind of like they do here in Chicago every year.
I know. Well, just all the think about it, all those black helicopters doing their practice runs over the city, disrupting the baseball games and whatnot. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lots of
I mean, it sounds like a fun time, except for the chlorine gas part, I might go.
Look, it was green.
Very St. Patrick's themed.
There you go. See?
I know it is that time of year.
We are getting closer to Shamrock Shakeville. That is true.
Yes.
All right.
True.
So the episode in question is 1.2, entitled Gone. Mm-hmm. And the description that we have is very, very, very short. And it says, Michonne finds unexpected help on her search for Rick. And that's it. So there you go. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, they've been very, they either don't have a description in advance, or whatever they give us has been very,
sparse.
Sparse is definitely the word for it, I would say. Anyway. All right, so before we get into points on the episode, let's talk writer-director for the episode. And, the writers, someone looks familiar and someone doesn't look familiar.
Yes, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a duo. If you remember last week, it was Gimple wrote it, and Andy Lincoln and Denai and Gimple put the story together, and then Gimple wrote the script. This was last week. Well, this week they just went out and they've got a writing duo, and it's two gals. And you're right. One we've probably never heard of before, and the other is one that has done a ton of stuff. And so the duo is a gal named Nana, and I'm going to butcher her last name. I'm going to say Naquiti, but I don't know if that is accurate. And if it is not right, I apologize. And the other gal is Channing Powell. And that name should sound very, very familiar to Walking Dead people. Nana... this is her only writing credit that she has in this episode. So, yeah, this is her first time writing for Walking Dead, and first time, as far as I could see, writing anything major on television. So this is her kind of inaugural script. So, and then Channing Powell, I mean, the gal's been around forever. She's written a total of 22 episodes. 20 episodes of the main show and 2 episodes, unfortunately, of Fear. But or no, I take that back. She wrote 18 episodes of the main show through seasons 4 through 10. She wrote 2 episodes of Fear during season 6. And actually, one of them was an episode that I kind of liked. So it's one of the few late Knucklehead seasons episodes that I was like, that wasn't too bad. And then she wrote 2 episodes of the Tales of the Walking Dead from last year.
Yeah.
So she's kind of written as kind of a little bit of a spectrum of Walking Dead universe stuff, not just one particular show. But anyway, tons and tons of experience, obviously. And if you go back and look her up and see the episodes that she wrote in seasons 4 through 10, some of them are ones you're like, oh yeah, I remember that was a good one, you know. So she did a lot of good stuff. So and then our directors for this week are the same 2 directors we had last week, which are these two gals, Bert and Birdie is what they're listed as. And again, Bert is a gal named Amber Templemore Finlayson. I don't know how you pronounce that either. I apologize if I'm doing it wrong. And Birdie is a gal named Katie Elwood, and I believe they are both British. So, if you have any questions about why the episode was wrong, it's because they're British. So I don't know. But again, and they direct this show here is their first experience doing Walking Dead stuff, and they do a total of 2 episodes. They did last week's premiere Years, and then this week's episode Gone. So that's the 2 they do. And that is our writer and our director. So yeah.
Excellent. All right. So how about that sort of cold open there where we get the Gasman Ghoul?
That's right, the Gasman Ghoul. And I would ask you, was it really cold? It looked rather warm to me.
What do you mean?
I mean, there's lots of explosions and fire and flame. I mean, it didn't look like a cold opening. It was more like a hot opening.
Ah, jeez, the worst. Oh, terrible. I'm not even going to dignify that.
We're just going to move right along.
Just going to go. We're going to jump right over that.
Yeah. No, so I love the Gasman head. Did you notice he had the 2 gold teeth?
Yes.
I thought that was really fun, and I love that, like, his sweatshirt said, like, Gasman, I'm here to help you.
I'm curious, like, if we get a story later or something that would explain why he had, like, the gas hanging off of him, why he had the message, like, who was this ghoul? Will we get a story, or is it one of those, like, little things that might appear in a show which I'm fine with? You never get like any kind of backstory, any description. It's just one of those things that you go, that looked cool, that was cool.
Yeah. And
it fits Walking Dead to have something that bizarre to just show up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would love to see it, but I would imagine we will not. I think it's like the episode with Robert Patrick twins where Aaron and Gabriel, they find the 2 skeletons that are, like, in the backyard of this burned out house, and they're like holding each other, and he's like, I wonder what happened here, and they're like, and Gabriel's like, we'll never know. I mean, it's like move on, don't waste time. And I think that's kind of the idea that the production people get a chance to play so much on this show that they can create these bizarre characters that raise the exact questions we're having, which is, wow, what happened here?
Right.
That dude was, like, obviously trying to help people, and he carried around, all these little 1-gallon, plastic containers of gas. He has like 3 of them dangling off of his body, and all the funnels and spouts and all that stuff. Why? What was he doing? What was he trading for that? Was he trading food? Was he, again, you just like, I want to know more. And it's just like, no, you'll never know more. It's just, it's totally up to you to figure it out, make your own conclusions, but isn't it cool? And it was really cool.
You know what's funny is it just dawned on me. It kind of evokes like it. This is gonna sound bizarre, but it looks and feels like someone you might see on the street. Like, you know, because we live in a big city. Well, you live in the big city. I used to live in that big city. And, you know, there's plenty of people who, you know, sadly live on the street who have mental health issues. And those folks, like, sometimes they are dressed a certain way. They have certain things they carry with them. They have the bags or the whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's just this element to that gas man that I don't know why, but when you were saying about trading food for his gas, I was like, wow, he really he gave off this aura of like a homeless person in a major city or something, you know, something like that. And what's funny is somebody like that who had those things on them would be just another person in a major city like that people would just, their eyes would glaze right over them. They wouldn't notice something like that, which is sad, absolutely sad. But I don't know. I don't know what it was. It was just that thing you said about trading food. It popped into my head. So, yeah.
No, it totally could be, right? It totally could be. And again, that I think that was, you know, like I said, it was just the production guys and gals that are making up all the ghoul extras. You know, obviously this guy's a feature ghoul because of his relevance to the story. But, you know, again, they just kind of got to play and be like, yeah, let's make him, you know, he has to be able to explode. Well, why would he explode? Well, what if he was carrying gasoline? Why would he be doing that? I don't know. And then, you know what I mean? You can almost hear them like talking it out. And it's like, okay, so he's like trading gas. So he has like a shirt that says, hey, I trade. Okay. You know what I mean? They're just pulling it all together. And I thought it was really, really fun. And, you know, one thing that the main show has constantly kept up since it began was just continually showing us ghouls where you're like, wow, what happened to that person?
Right. What is the story there?
Right,
He's really, yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's like the well ghoul at the farm way back in season 2, like the little girl in episode 1. I mean, there's so many, right, that you're just like, oh my God, you know? So yeah, absolutely. I wanted to just put a point in there too that between Rick and his, you know, I tried, and, you know, all of his different escape attempts, and with Michonne, when they make a point, you know, in the beginning of the episode and then also throughout, of her being on the walkie, Shoto, you know, trying to communicate with Judith. I put in that, like, one of the number one things as they were developing this show that you would hear from people is, how could Rick stay away from his family this long? Yes. What possible reason would they have? Yes. And once Michonne left, and then they're like, oh, they're going to have this show where they show them together. And it's like, why? People would be like, okay, so why was Rick gone this long? And also, how did Michonne stay away that long, knowing her kids were behind? How could they do? So those two, for the both of those guys, were the number one questions you would hear from fans when they came up with this idea for this show. And so I like that they've kind of taken the fan note and they took care of that for both of them in each of these episodes right away. So you can sort of get that out of your head. Like, that's not something we're going to spend a lot of time on. You just need to be able to make the leap that she was checking in with Judith. She did check on her walkie as much as she could. And you just need to be okay with that, you know? And they also showed the little clip to remind you that Judith is the one who told her, if there's a chance, you need to go find him. Right.
You know?
See, it wasn't her idea, people.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, you know, and I saw that too, and I mean, like right away in this episode, you know, the first episode with the Rick episode, it kind of took the whole episode to get their message out of why hasn't Rick come back in all this time,
right?
And obviously, as you pointed out, Rick's been gone a lot longer. You know,
yes.
You know, there was obviously a huge time jump that happened, but Michonne was still part of the main show during the time jump. So, so, you know, less to explain, you know, she had a lot less explaining to do, as Desi would say, than Rick did. But they still, they right away they came out. I don't necessarily buy either of the answers 100%. I don't. And we'll get to that when we get more into the episode here. But I appreciate that they addressed it right away and at least said, hey, we know you guys want to know why they never came back. And this is what our story, and we're sticking to it.
Right.
It's sort of like, this is the explanation we're going to give you.
Right.
Go with it,
Yeah.
And
if it works for you personally, that's great. If not, please know that we've covered this and it's over and we're moving on.
Right. So we've addressed it. You might not like the answer, but we've addressed it. Yeah.
Right.
So
yes. Let's talk about what you found in the opening credits. I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah. We didn't really talk about it last week, and I think we were waiting to see, what it was going to be in episode 2.
True.
Because many times the premiere episode, the credits are not what they end up being for the majority of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, unlike the Daryl show, and unlike the Dead City show, and even Fear to some extent, the opening credits are not animation this time.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's actual video we're watching, and you get lots of shots of the black helicopters zipping around, and it's almost like you're watching like surveillance footage to me.
Mm-hmm.
I get that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Not once do you see Rick or Michonne in the credits. I don't think you do. It's all just sort of the CRM really, and how powerful they are. And at one point, they show Portland, and it's like you're looking at a map, and then it goes to Omaha, and then it cuts to a full shot of the continental United States, and you see Portland and Omaha, and they have a line connecting them, and then obviously we know the CRM is in Philly, but it's not on the map, but then it suddenly puts like a circle of kind of the general vicinity of the CRM, and you're they're kind of laying out, this is how this universe is set up, right, in terms of settlements. And there are all kinds of other cities that are on this map, but they all have like little X's or pluses next to them, which I kind of took to mean that they're no longer inhabited. They're not major settlements, right? They're kind of wiped out. But the thing that's really interesting is if you look down in the location of Delaware, Texas, you'll see that there's a big circle and the toxic, symbol there, indicating, that area is the nuclear fallout zone. So they are incorporating, unfortunately, the events of Fear the Walking Dead into this show as well. So. I was kind of hoping that the other shows would kind of be like, we don't ever talk about Fear, and it's not really part of our thing, and they were brought by a friend. We don't really, it was a friend of a friend, and we don't really know them.
Yeah. We don't socialize with them.
Yeah. But unfortunately they did. So, and I guess just the OCD in me appreciates that at least they're going, you know what, that area, you don't go down there, because, unless you get like a really cool car that has been cleaned out by Morgan, you can't go in there, So
it's the only way.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool,
That's interesting. I wonder too, like, unfortunately, because of, one of our favorite, and I'm not saying that with sarcasm, one of our favorite Fear the Walking Dead episodes and story arcs, unfortunately, involves the CRM.
It does.
With Isabel. So they have to, and because of the stuff with Isabel, and like we talked about in the last episode, the refueling station and the stuff like that was established in Fear, they have to have some kind of connective tissue to Fear, no matter how bad it was.
No matter how awful. Yeah.
Oh God, that's so sad. That's interesting though. It's I had paid attention to some of the, because a lot of it is very like, there's a lot of maps and a lot of things like that.
A lot of shots of helicopters flying.
Yeah. And so I just sort of like glanced both times I've watched it and gotten like sort of a general idea, but now I'm going to watch for some details too, to see if there's any more to that. But that's super cool. Wow. Nice. Yeah. Oh, good snag, Steve. Well done.
Well, every once in a while, a blind nut finds a squirrel.
Yeah, that's true. So let's talk about this idea that the herds migrate? How do we feel about that?
So we're talking up now?
Do we like it? I don't know about the migration.
Yeah. So you're telling me that the herds migrate? Yes, I thought I wrote that down. That caught my attention right away. Michonne wants to she tells them where she's going to Bridger's Terminal, and everybody there is like, oh, no, you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
and she's just like, yeah, I'm going, I don't care what you idiots say. I just, saved you guys. So, whatever. And they then finally explain that, in the tri-state area, which is funny because I always thought that was around here, but apparently there's one out east too. That's
Jersey, Philly, that's Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York.
And New York. I thought Massachusetts was in there too, but but anyway, that obviously huge population centers, right? So large number of ghouls now, as you would imagine, so many years after. And basically these people have determined that when it gets warm, the ghouls, for whatever reason, migrate and they head south, and they go that way for so many months. And then after a while they turn around and they migrate back up north and they're like, we don't know why they do it. They just do it, and I thought that was really interesting, what would drive them to do that? Why? You would think, it's not a food thing, it's not a hunger thing, but it's something.
It's interesting too because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't during the Whisperers stuff, didn't they migrate with the herds as they moved north and south? So I mean it's canon, it's there.
But see, I thought that was just something the Whisperers did, not the ghouls.
Same. That's what I thought. I thought that they weren't just I didn't think they were just following along. I thought that they were
hurting them.
They were the herders,
Yeah. I always felt that the Whisperers, they would get the herd for protection. And then they would kind of migrate just to, get out of the cold weather and to kind of follow the food that they have to eat to live. Right. So when you get into the winter months and you're on the East Coast, you don't necessarily want to be in Washington, D.C. Right. That's cold and snowy and icky. So you migrate down the coastline till you get to, somewhere where there's an island full of people that no one can find. And then you have lots of food. So, then once the weather turns nice and it becomes summertime, then you bring the herd back up north to where you were before. That I'm right where with you. I thought that was a human decision, not the ghouls. And here they're saying, no, it's just the ghoul. The big groups of ghouls just decide to walk south for a while, and then after a while they turn around, they go back north. Yeah. Cool. Weird. I don't understand it. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I don't. And the thing is that because. Can you just have something that's this big and have them say, yeah, we don't know why, and have it actually be a thing? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's stuff like that in nature right now.
I know.
That, animals do and things where you're like, why does that happen? And the scientists that study them are like, we don't know.
I wonder, too, if we'll find out, is there something CRM related with it? Do they set them on their path to get them away, say, during the months when crops grow? Because obviously, in the Northeast, it's much like here in Illinois where they will have a winter. So, it's, I don't know. It just, I wonder if they try to do that to keep them away while they're growing crops. That'd be interesting. Or it could just be nothing. It could just be, All right. Well. All of that time spent on something they didn't even answer.
They didn't even answer, and you know what? It probably is not going to come up again on this show. You know what I mean? Literally, the only reason that was brought up from a story standpoint was to force Michonne to stay the one night. Right. Which would then allow them to build her the awesome Wonder Woman suit that fits her perfectly and looks amazeballs on her. And to equip her with all the rockets and the scream sticks and the the horse and all that stuff. Because if they weren't doing that, she would have left, right? She would have gotten on a horse and rode away and said, "Yeah, see ya."
Yeah. She would have said bye. Oh no,
bye.
That next week.
No, she would have looked at them and said, "Gone."
Right. Exactly.
Right.
That's what I would have done.
I know you. You are definitely that person. Yes.
Gone. So let's talk her time that she spends with this little group here. Very brief. I mean, the group itself before they sort of splinter off. So she meets these people. They're perfectly fine. I just get the feeling like they gave off this feeling like they were very nomadic, that they don't stay in one place, but yet they had so many supplies.
They did. They seemed very well equipped.
Yeah, I was confused by them. They felt it felt strange. I don't know.
And you know, obviously that they really emphasize this idea that the caravan, it never stops.
Yeah.
Ever. And that if you know, it's kind of like if something happens and you can't keep up with them, they go, "Yep, too bad," and that's it.
Yeah.
You know? And
I like the idea of a caravan that never stops. That's not a terrible idea. But it's difficult, you know what I mean? It's not like they can't grow any crops. They can't. Right. So maybe do they trade their stuff for, hey, we've got this cool weapon. Can we get some food supplies from you?
Yeah. You know? Again, it's a good question.
But we won't find out because all their people are gone now.
Well, and the caravan itself is gone, right? I mean, you know, the people that broke away from it all, they all got wiped out. So yeah,
right,
we'll never really again, we'll never probably see them again.
Well, that was my question is, you know, the people that we got close to, they peeled off from the main group, but do you think we'll see that main group again, that Elle or Ellie, who was the sister of the pregnant
leader?
woman?
Yeah.
Do you think we could run across them again?
I would say probably not.
Okay.
I think it was this is just a means to an end. You know, this episode, you know, like you said, you were kind of surprised that Nat didn't make it
right
at the end, and I mean, I totally saw all of these characters when they introduced them as they will not be on the show and beyond this episode. So either they're going to leave her or they're going to die. So that didn't surprise me at all, because all of this it's just to get Rick and Michonne together so they can start the show. Right. That's all these 2 episodes were. So right. So yeah. The only person that's going to be on the show longer now is the South African, is Leslie Ann Brandt and her character. Yeah. That's it. I mean, and obviously Jadis and you know, Terry O'Quinn and all those, you know what I mean? The people at the CRM, that those are going to stick around. Everybody else gone. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
To answer your question, I highly doubt we will see Ellie and the rest of the caravan again. Maybe. You never know, right? You never know, but I would be quite surprised. So.
Yeah. Yeah. You make a fair point. Yeah. Well, let's talk good stuff. So first of all, I think pretty much everybody who I've seen give their 2 cents on this show, everybody agrees. How awesome are the Scream Sticks?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what a great little invention there. Mm-hmm. Love it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those are invaluable.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. They're anti-personnel and armor piercing, because they can shoot down helicopters and blow up large numbers of ghouls. Yeah. What a plus.
Yeah, everybody wants those in their life. Might as well.
Yeah, they were very cool. The only thing this is just me that I nitpicked a little was that when Nate was shooting them, he had to light them with the lighter, the fuse.
Yeah.
And when Michonne shot them out of the gun, she didn't light the fuse at all. She just shot them out of the gun somehow.
Right.
So that was a little weird to me. I didn't understand what's the difference between the rockets she had and the ones that he had, and why didn't he just use the gun? You think you could aim that a lot better than trying to put the thing on your arm. And remember, they set up like the little tripod and all that stuff, and I'm like, okay. So that was a little weird, but I loved them. I loved the sound that they made.
Yes.
When she shoots the one into the herd, Which first of all, I mean, you know, what a shot, right? When she goes clippity cloppeting up, it was very much shades of episode 1 of the show with Rick.
Yes.
Right, where she's all by herself and she goes clippity clopping up, and you get this, you know, like in front of her. I mean, it's got to be like 10 miles of ghouls, right? It's just
you're like, oh, shirt balls.
You're just like, you're dead. There's just you're dead, you know. And then she fires the one rocket, and it kind of disappears in the crowd, and she's kind of looking at it like, okay. And then boom, you know, all of them go flying through the air and everything, and you're like, wow, that was pretty impressive, you know. So yeah, that was I like the scream sticks a lot. That was a fun part of the episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, I find this was some of my situational stuff I didn't like. I didn't like that we meet a group and so quickly, like, just meeting Michonne was the catalyst that they needed to break away. Like, that's enough. You know, you got to assume they've been doing this for, you know, at least a few years, have been a group doing what they do and being on the road, etc. So like Nat had one line that he said where he's like, it was time to go a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like, well, then why didn't you go? Like, what is it about? That's the thing if there was something about Michonne that made them make that decision, and I get it. Michonne helped out the sister when she was hurt, and the rest of them are like, no, we go, you know, we don't go back for people, is their like mantra. And she helped her out, and I know that sort of like opened their eyes a little bit, but they admit, they're like, we knew that we were this group before.
Yeah.
So what was it about Michonne that made it such a big thing that you would leave your group, you know, that you would go off with this person you literally just met?
Yeah, you're right. It's interesting that, you know, she shows up literally, you know, for 2 minutes, and then they're like, yeah, we're gone.
Right.
And by the way, the other two people was Aiden and Bailey.
Yes.
Bailey was the pregnant gal, and Aiden was her dippy boyfriend that sprained his ankle. And
yes,
and they're the two that she, you know, quote unquote rescues, right? And it kind of like this kind of goes back to last week in a way too, in that like the whole story of Nat and to a lesser extent the other two it's Michonne's story. Right, in that they're doing something that they know they should have given up on a long time ago because it's foolish, but they don't, and they haven't, and that's what Michonne is struggling with, you know, and literally, I got the sense that the only thing Michonne had that kept her going was she had to get to the Bridgers terminal, because that's the clue, right? She knows that the boat that Rick's stuff was on was there. And really, her plan is really, I think, idiotic. I mean, clearly it is a plan made out of love, in that, you know, and faith, in that, okay, according to the ship's log, the boat was there God knows how many years ago. And so she's going to go there, and what, Rick's just going to be standing on the dock waiting for her? You know, I mean, you know, it was like,
right.
That was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? How do we know he hasn't moved out? You know what I mean? Really? But that's all she has. And that's what's keeping her going. And again, you know, like you said, you know, it was time to go a long time ago. Michonne's probably having those thoughts all the time now. Right. Of how much longer do I stay out here? How much longer do I leave the people I know are still around, or at least I knew they were still around when I left, versus looking for someone who, even though I found this weird clue with the boots and the phone and all that stuff, it would be a Scott Gimple miracle that we ever were to come face to face again. And oh wait, just wait about 40 minutes, it's going to happen. But still, at this point, you know, she doesn't know that. So yeah, the whole set, I think that's why he made, or the writers made, this caravan to be so Spartan and so cruel, in that, we don't stop for anyone, because what does Ellie say? If we try and save 2, we could lose 200 or something like that, right?
Right.
And so they're doing probably the right thing with the math, saying, yeah, we can't stop to help the one person that needs help, even though that's the human thing to do, because if you do that, you get eaten eventually, and so to make sure we keep as many people safe as we can, there's no stopping. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And if you have to stop, then you're on your own. And again, you have to imagine all those people that are part of that caravan, they know what the rules are, so they know what's going to happen. It's not like, wait, you didn't tell us that. No, of course we did. That's just part of the game here. And so again, like I said, all of these people that suddenly show up to help Michonne because of they've finally had enough. It's really just Michonne having the same struggle in her head. And then later on, when it's just her and Nat, she has it big time, right? When he has they have that great scene together in the shopping mall, where he's telling her about you can still look for him and still go back to your kids. It's okay. Right. And so on. I mean, that was a great powerhouse acting scene. Right. And again, it's just, we're getting a glimpse, a little look into what is Michonne been going through emotionally during all this time. So, but you're right. It is a little weird that it's like she shows up and then the next day, like half the caravan leaves. To go follow her. But okay, I get it, Sure. And again, it helps explain the story, because all those people are literally, dead caravan walking, right? I mean, they don't live very much longer after they join her. So they chose poorly. Okay.
Yeah, they did choose poorly.
Yeah.
Chose poorly. Did choose poorly. I was like, what tense am I using here? What tense am I using here? Question mark. So they separate off from the group.
Well,
they meet up. No, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, she shoots the rocket into the horde. And I have to say, this part still bugs me about this show, that the explosion, like there's clearly, I mean, there's like 1,000 ghouls coming at her, right? And she fires the rocket and it blows up, and then literally all of these ghouls that can see her standing there. So there is a meal right there. And yet all of them get distracted by the explosion and start walking away from her. And that still bothers me. I don't see that. My experience with the ghouls are, if they can see food, it don't matter what happens around them. They're still going to pursue what they can get to. Right. But that's what happens, and they start, and clearly she's going to use the scream sticks to kind of clear out a way for her to get through this horde, because on the other side of it is where she needs to be, right?
Right.
And then what do we see? We see the gas man. We come back to the gas man from the beginning, and he kind of emerges from the herd, and he is not distracted. He's still heading straight towards her. And then literally, I guess, how many fan fiction stories out there where Michonne gets some head? I don't know, but here we actually see it.
That's the word. Man, you are on a roll today with these terrible jokes.
Good puns, right? Yeah, but she literally, I mean, the gas man, clearly there's still some viable gas or fuel or oil in those containers, because he blowed up.
Yeah, he sure did.
And his head just clocks Michonne right in the chest, knocks her right off the horse. It was great. You hear the horse running for his life, right? The horse is like, yeah, I'm out of here,
Yeah,
and,
see ya.
And so she gets up, and then she's like, and then of course the explosion of the gas man now distracts all the ghouls back to heading towards her, right? And so then she's like, she pulls out her sword, and I'm like, really, Michonne? Really?
I did like that, but on the second viewing, I did notice that, like, when she realized, like, oh man, she literally has a shit look on her face literally before she pulls out the sword. So at least there's some believability in this is about to get really bad really quickly. I mean, run back where you came from and go up a tree for a little while or something.
Something, right? Yeah, it's just, as soon as she pulls the sword, I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is like Sala in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where literally it's run. What? Run. Just run. That's all you got to do. Run. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but so she does, and then that's when, like, the two giant purple explosion fire things happen like, miles away on each side, which again, neat trick. I'm not sure how you did it, but okay, whatever. I'm going to go with it. And literally it's like the parting of the Red Sea from the 10 Commandments, in that half of the ghouls head towards one side and the other half head to the other. And there's literally a wide open, path between this massive horde of ghouls for these people to go through. And like I said, I don't necessarily buy this at all. I still think that if they can see people and see stuff they can eat, they're just going to go after it and damn all the noise around them. But whatever,
Right.
that's the thing, that it's canon in this universe. So, okay. And it was a cool effect. And so she meets back up, and now everybody, the three people she kind of befriended are there. And then, like we said, there's like half the caravan has decided, yeah, screw the caravan, we're going off on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we get back to where you were talking about. So they it's now she and the group, and they're kind of heading towards Bridger's terminal. I don't know where the group think they're going, but they're just following Michonne, I guess.
Yeah, she's like, I'm heading in this direction, and they're like, excellent, we just met you, we're coming along.
We're going with you.
Yeah, wherever that may be.
Yeah.
So they make it to this, it looks like there's at least a small, I guess, town.
So it's like a little town, or it's a small, it's not a big major city, it's more of a town that they're kind of working their way through. So there are some medium-sized buildings, but it's not, it's not like New York, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that.
I did like and clearly we get a helicopter attack, which we'll talk about in a second, but I did like that when the helicopters are first coming in, the first image you get of them is I think it was Nat that looks up, either Nat or Michonne look up, and they see the helicopter reflected in the window, which I thought was really cool. So it was a really good callback to the very first episode.
Yes, I noticed that too. Yeah.
So I really, really liked that. But I like, the very right away, they scatter,
Yeah.
And they did the best they could. But, dude, chlorine gas. How about it, huh?
I know. It's a nasty way to die. My comment was like, chlorine gas, really, CRM, really? But I guess it's probably from the CRM standpoint, it's probably cheaper and less expensive than using ordnance, using bullets and rockets and things. So, you see a little group, a little migrant caravan like that. That's getting close to Philadelphia, right? They're in that vicinity. That, okay, you know what? There's no, hey, let's see who they are. If there are any A's or B's, it's just nope, just wipe them out.
Yeah.
Just don't take the chance, wipe them out, they're dead.
Yeah.
And so I get it, and it kind of jives with the story Rick tells Michonne later on about the guys in the red that would go out and come back, and they're covered in blood, and nobody really knows what they're doing. And he said something in the first episode about how the helicopters will go out and they'll come back and they won't have their bombs anymore, so they clearly have dropped them, but we don't know. He's like, we don't ask any questions, and so on. So
we don't know what happened.
Yeah, and so you clearly get the sense that this is kind of the standard operating procedure for them. But yeah, I mean, it was, and it helped. I had noticed the closed captioning helped me a lot the second time, because the canisters hit and the gas is released, and immediately on the closed captioning, Nate goes, chlorine gas. And then he says, use your handkerchiefs and wet them to help protect you. And so they immediately analyze what's going on. And that's, how a couple of them managed to survive and not, get killed outright, kind of a thing. But when I watch it, and again, supposedly these are lines that are being said, I can't hear them, because when I watched it the first time without the closed captioning, I'm just like, nope, I didn't get any of that, so, but anyway, it does kind of help to tell the story a little bit more exposition. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a funny closed captioning story, which we'll tell when we get to our points at the very, very end, when we talk about stuff we did last week. But I find the interesting thing about the chlorine gas to me is first of all, it makes it make sense that this group has been able to be around. The one that Nat and Aiden and Bailey came from, that they were able to thrive as a sort of a nomadic group in this kind of general area, because if the CRM can't see them, like if they're not aware of them, then they're okay. You know what I mean? It feels like the CRM really sort of targets these groups that are sort of hunkered down or have like a place. At least that's the way it feels so far. We don't have as much evidence so far, but man, chlorine gas is like, that's a nasty way. I mean, you're just making more zombies by doing what you're doing, I guess. I just
but it's cold. Obviously, it's obviously very cruel, but it's effective. Like I said, that helicopter, that was an Apache attack helicopter, which is a armed to the teeth Army helicopter that's in existence, a real thing, right? And I mean, it could have, and again, the setup of the scene, it flies over them once, and then it turns around, and then it comes back, and it literally, does a bombing run right down the length of the caravan, and drops these canisters of chlorine gas, which immediately, kill almost everybody. It very easily could have just turned around and just opened fire. It has a 20 millimeter electric cannon on it. It has rockets and bombs and all these kind of blowy uppy kind of weapons. Yeah. And it could have done that, but like I said, those are hard to build. They're expensive. Yeah. And chlorine gas is going to do the job just as well, because these people don't have gas masks, right? They're not equipped like that. They're civilians,
I want to see the accompanying scene. As someone who works in an office, I want to see the accompanying scene where you see a snippet, like say Rick and Pearl walk by while some soldier's being told, "Now, did you have some of the gas canisters with you? Yeah. Why did you shoot the bullets? Weren't you told that bullets were expensive? Yeah. We're going to have to take those out of your pay," or something. You know what I mean? Like something like that would be hilarious.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, CRM, it's a business, right? I mean, you mentioned what we've seen of them they tend to focus on fixed groups more than the nomadic ones. And I would augment that and say, and I think I even mentioned this when we were doing the World Beyond, which was really where we got a lot of CRM stuff before this.
For sure, yes.
Was that they in many ways they're kind of like the Roman Empire was in their foreign policy, which is when they run into other peoples, they just wipe them out and assimilate them. Whether they're good people or bad people, it doesn't matter. They just do that because it's going to protect them, right? And that's what you see them do to Omaha. Was Omaha arming to come get them? No, we don't think they were. No. But they wiped them out. Why? Because they could eventually become a threat. So, and I think that's how they view any groups they come upon like that, like this caravan or whatever. Is it getting close to finding the secret hidden city that no one can know about? Well, then we're going to kill them.
Right. Right. We're doing just fine by ourselves. We don't need anybody else, kind of thing.
Right. So
So no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, before the attack happens, I did write down, there was one line that I really liked. There was a lot of good lines in this episode, I thought. And it's Michonne and Nate are talking, and they're talking about, I think Michonne's kind of, this is after they've joined up. So after the gas man explodes and all that stuff. And she's kind of asking him, why did you guys, why did it take you so long to leave? And she's kind of pointing out how, the caravan, they don't stop ever to help anyone. The leader of the caravan wouldn't stop to help her own sister.
Right.
That's how cold they were. And, he's like, that's not okay, right? And he says something like, well, I didn't like it before either, but it was the same thing then, right? People were left to die, And Michonne responds and says, yeah, but it's not before anymore. So first of all, we almost got a before time, which was so close. But I just like that line that, she's literally saying, yeah, that was back before all this was going on. And now human life is even more precious, right? And more should be protected and saved. And we should do everything we can to save as many as we can, damn the consequences. That it's the fact of where we are, it makes it even more not okay that group won't stop to help anyone ever. And so I that line just kind of stuck in my head. I liked it. I thought that was an interesting line for her to be kind of like, yeah, you guys should have done this a long time ago. And then again, that kind of goes into his big speech later on where he talks about, I knew I should have left, but I didn't, and all that stuff. So yeah. And
you're like, well, then why didn't you?
Why didn't you go?
Silly man.
Yeah.
So let's talk post-chlorine gas.
Yes.
And the most convenient location to hunker down in known to man.
Yep. The shopping mall.
Yeah.
Pretty damn well equipped shopping mall, huh?
Right. See, that's the thing. I don't disagree that finding a place, to hunker down, and for the amount of time that it took, and it was a year.
Oh yeah.
It was, because they distinctly made sure that you saw that it was leaves and then went away, and
then it was snow and ice, and then it was
showed that they went through the seasons. So I don't think that that's ridiculous. I like that they sort of hunkered down. They were there together, sort of taking care of each other, and I'm okay that it was someplace that was like a store, clearly a mall or some kind of retail location.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in such pristine shape when they walked in the door.
Pretty good. I mean, they're ghouls inside because she's killing them as he opens the door a little bit, right? She's, kind of using the katana to kind of take them out. But yeah, pristine condition. I almost expected them to look for an MRI machine.
Yeah. And the whole, I thought I saw a medical place as we were walking by, and I'm like, oh geez.
Oh yeah.
So of course oxygen tanks and
sure.
Yep. So I know you just gotta suspend your disbelief.
You gotta go with it. Yep.
You gotta go with it. I just thought that was.
Yeah.
I mean, chlorine gas shows how harsh the CRM can be. I agree. And like you were saying, the using of resources, not using ordnance of any kind. And I get that. But I think because they had to show the rehab and the getting better from a chlorine gas attack,
right?
It sort of painted them into a corner where they had to be at this location where they were just so freaking lucky. They had all of these resources readily available. Now, keep in mind, it was a gas attack, which means that they didn't shoot things with guns, which means they still had supplies sitting right outside the door from the people that came from the caravan. Yeah. Right.
So they could have, you have to assume they raided all of that stuff too.
Right.
Yeah.
Food, stuff, whatever they could get to bring back inside with them. I get it. It just, it was so neat and clean, and it looked so untouched and all of that stuff. It was just, that's always the difficult part. 10 years in to have, and it's not like this place was tucked away. It was clearly on the way to something.
Right.
And, every place has to have been picked over at this point. Every single place has to have been picked over.
Hey, there's a cut scene where Michonne goes by this rack of leather biker jackets. And they're every size is right there. So.
Right. I feel like even when other stuff is taken from retail locations in the apocalypse, people leave the rack of leather jackets alone because they know that someone at some point is going to be looking for one, and it'll make them so happy to find one.
That's right. JDM needs to look good. Okay.
must wear the leather jacket. Ugh, God.
And by the way, this is what I read on the Walking Dead wiki, the episode description. But you remember when she goes out to get the oxygen tanks, she tells Aiden to tie Bailey to the bed. There's like a bed for sale. Because she, Bailey does not look, she's foaming at the mouth and clearly got the worst of the gas. And Aiden doesn't look all that great either. None of them do. They're all suffering. Their lungs are all getting scarred from the chlorine gas, and they're filling up with water and all the horrible, horrible things that chlorine gas does to you. But she tells him, tie her up to the bed, and then she looks him dead in the eye and says, "Whatever you do, don't fall asleep next to her." Yeah. And then when she gets back, Bailey's turned on the bed, and then she goes into the next room, and Aiden is. Remember, Nat has lit the top of that glass display case on fire and is hiding behind it, and Aiden is just kind of staring at him. Yeah. And in the wiki it says that he did fall asleep next to her, and she ate him, so she bit him, and that's how he turned. He did not succumb from the chlorine gas. But
I did like that. I liked the not the Aiden and Bailey stuff, but the way that Nat hid behind the jewelry counter with the flames, because he keeps talking about how he's the gas guy, not the gas guy, but the flames guy.
He's the burning guy, yeah.
The burning guy, as it were. So I really liked that, because I thought that was a really interesting way to show this is something I'm good at. I am a smart person, and this is a really effective way to keep myself safe from the ghouls, at least for a brief period. So
I like the way they staged that scene too, because Michonne comes in and you see Aiden, and he's standing, and then behind him is the countertop, and it's on fire, and Nat is behind the countertop, but you can't see him because Aiden's blocking him. And it's not until Michonne comes in and kind of moves to the side and then zaps Aiden with the katana that we realize, oh, okay, Nat's there. And then your first thought is he dead too, right? But he is not. He is not doing well, but he's still alive. And I thought that was a real cool way that they staged that scene in the reveal, that, oh, that's why Aiden's standing there. It's because there's food just beyond the flames. So
yes. As you were saying, it doesn't matter if he's attracted or not attracted to sound. He saw food, and he's gonna keep going after it no matter what. Right
there. Yep.
No matter what is put in there. So yeah.
So they do the rehab, and again, I think the other reason too, now that I'm thinking about it, that why chlorine gas? Why would they use that? It's such a nasty thing. And the ordinance idea was the first day that popped into my head, but I think it might also just be a storytelling thing, because they got to kill time. To catch the show up to the end of the main show. And so Michonne has to take Michonne a while to get where she needs to go. How do you sidetrack her? Because she knows where she needs to be. True. Well, okay, we're going to injure her in a way that she needs a lot of recovery time.
Yeah. And not something like a broken leg or something what I mean? It's I get that. I get that too. Yeah. It was a time suck as well as everything else.
Right. And so I love the push-up sequence. I thought that was fun. That she can't do it. And then, hey, she can start to do it. And now, it's you're literally seeing, her body recover. And be able to, her lungs are actually able to work. And I did a little research on chlorine gas, and I was familiar with its use in the Great War, because that's where it was first introduced, but I wasn't up 100% on what it does. And most of the stuff I read said that it's pretty rare that you recover like they did. So
Yeah.
I was kind of a little skeptical. I'm like, okay, it's really nasty and awesome that you had them use it. But, even if Michonne survives, she's not going to be like running around zipping people with the katana a lot again.
Yeah.
I don't think. But
Yeah.
but she recovered.
She did.
So,
I mean, it's the magic of storytelling. It's the magic of it had to happen that way. There's no way they were going to introduce a story about chlorine gas and have Michonne succumb to it. It was just going to be,
she's the one in a million, right?
Yeah,
I get it.
absolutely.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So she wants to keep going, and now you get this great scene, and this is probably my favorite scene of the whole episode, is between her and Nat. And Nat has told the story about the boyfriend, the guy who his name was Danger, right? And I kept thinking, you sure his name wasn't Dan G. or something like that, right? But
that would have been awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But he kind of tells how, the guy like had him do all these like projects around the house rather than burn stuff, and taught him a way to take his, creative energies in a better way than burning and blowing stuff up, and gave him a bit of a purpose and all that. And they're having this great conversation about, it's time for you to go back to your kids, basically.
Yeah.
It is, because she's like, I'm still going to push on to Bridger's Terminal.
Yeah.
And he's just like, are you sure that's a good idea?
And I mean, especially, in the short time that he's known her, yes, they just spent a year like sitting in a room together, but in this time that he's known her, she's had some bad luck, while she's been trying to, what is the point?
Right.
Like, could she like end up, what if something terrible happened? And look at what happened to Aiden and Bailey. It's right there in front of her to be able to see as an example. So
death is everywhere in this world,
of course.
And then you add in the fact that you've got these, flying roving black helicopters that apparently are going to attack you every time they see you.
Right.
Which is going to make it even that much harder. And then just the impossibility of her actually finding him.
Right. What are the actual odds?
And again, he just kind of keeps bringing this point of like, look, you know what, your kids are there, they're there. Again, she doesn't, they could be dead, right? We never know, but when she left, they were there. And it's like, don't you think maybe you'd be better served going back and being with the people are there, rather than to keep looking for the one you hope is there,
Of course. Yeah.
Again, it's a lovely conversation, and I think they act the crap out of it. And it's like I said, it's my favorite scene in the whole show, and it's a very it's a quiet scene, right? It's not super busy, but it ends up that she's like, nope, I'm going to Bridger's Terminal, and doesn't she give him the map?
Yeah,
and she said,
like, this is how you get to Alexandria. Yeah.
And she's like, you go there because Aiden and Bailey should have gone there and they didn't, but you go there and you can they will love you. You will love them. It'll be, it'll be perfect fit. And you will find people that are good people, and you'll be able to have a life,
Right.
And he basically says, nope, I'm going with you.
Right.
And then again, I wrote this line down because I just really resonated with me, that he's like, I'm going with you, and that's the end of it. And then she looks at him and she goes, you coming with me, is it about wanting to see how this ends? And he's kind of fiddling with his Zippo, which he does pretty much the whole episode, and he's not looking at her, and he goes, nope, I know how it ends.
Yep.
And so, and to me, that was like, oh yeah, he's gone. It's just like, he pretty much knows this is a suicide mission. He tells her earlier it's a suicide mission, right?
Yeah.
But he is, she's like the only friend he's got left, and he obviously really likes her. So he's like, nope, I'm going to go with you. And however it ends is going to end, even though I pretty much know how it's going to end. But I would rather go out with you than go somewhere else without you. And that just really resonated with me. I really liked that line.
Yeah. And it really endeared him to, I think, everybody that was watching the episode. I don't think I saw a single, piece of feedback from someone or anything else online, here or just friends watching the show, whatever. I don't think I saw a single piece of feedback that didn't include, oh, love that new character.
Yeah.
Sucks that he had to die.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
you're like, oh, he's so great. Oh, he's not gonna make it.
So he does decide to go with her.
Yes.
And they head out, and they do make it to the shipyard. And I'm really glad that they made it so that there was literally like no evidence there of Rick. There's nothing there because like we were saying earlier, what would have been there? I mean, it was just a clue that she was following, but I think like you build it up in your mind, you're going to get there and it's like he's going to step out of one of the, buildings on the waterfront.
Right. He's sitting there with a cup of coffee like, good morning. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, here's where
I've been waiting for your arrival.
Yeah. I mean,
I left you some breadcrumbs, to try and find me. Like, that's not what was going to happen. And would there be, what else would there have been? What kind of sign? So instead, not only is there nothing, but it's tragic and really sad looking.
Oh, God, yeah.
Between, first of all, your first thing you see is that cruise ship.
Yes.
And it's really, I really liked this scene at the Bridgers Terminal was one of my favorites because I felt like it was the most realistic. Because here's this whole thing where it's like it's a 1 in a million that she's gonna find Rick. It's a 1 in a million that this is even gonna happen, and it's so ridiculous that it would happen. But they deal with the some of the stuff beforehand that makes it seem like this is a pipe dream. This is what are the odds that this would even happen? And to do it with like such dark and so depressed. I mean, we don't know the story of what was going on with that cruise ship, but I don't need to know the story. It looks like it was supposed to be a safe place, and then it became not a safe place. And just amazing. What a great visual. And just the piles of bodies are just
yeah. I mean, I got the sense, and I'm sure you did too, that like clearly the CRM wiped all those people out
for sure.
And then like you said, not only is there no clues or any indications that Rick was there or that where he went or whatever, but as Nat points out, when they're sitting around the campfire that night, most of the bodies in the burn piles aren't wearing shoes.
Yeah. Oh, God, what an awful thing to realize.
Yeah, and you see her, and she, at one point, like she's kind of like looking at the feet of some of these charred corpses, trying to see if it's Rick. So I got the sense that he was kind of saying without saying that there's a really good chance that the guy you're looking for is in one of these piles. And they just his shoes got tossed into that boat, and the boat drifted down to where you found it. That's the story here, right? We kind of going back to the gas manual. I wonder what happened here. That's what he's doing, and he's putting those things together. So again, pouring water all over her dreams, right? Of you're gonna find your dude, and now it's like, you know what? You probably found him. So just when they come up upon there and you see the cruise ship and it's it's listing, right? Clearly it's sunk. It's on the bottom of the river, and yet it still has the banner on the side that's all in tatters, but it says Safe Harbor. It just, what a visual, right?
Yeah. It kind of gave vibes like, remember that Tales one that showed Alpha's backstory? And she was on like that riverboat or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything was very sort of like damp and dank and just had that sort of, I don't know. It
swampy.
had a, very swampy vibe. I don't know. It just gave me that vibe, but gross.
In a gross way. Yeah. And actually, now that I'm looking at my notes and we're talking about it, I misremembered the great conversation that they have about it's okay to go home happens now. It didn't happen back at the mall. So,
Oh, yeah.
So so this scene, it's basically them around the campfire, and
Yeah.
that's when he starts, laying these truth bombs on her about basically saying it's okay.
Yeah.
You tried. You went out after this guy. You did everything you could do. Now you should go home and be with the people are still there. And again, I really like that scene. It's really well done, and it's him with not being cold about it, but just being rational,
realistic,
and she is completely emotional, saying no, I can't. But then you kind of get the sense that she's like, very begrudgingly agreeing with him because she's crying, right? And she's screaming. And I mean, it's a great moment for her.
And she's hugging the boots. That's the thing. She's hugging those boots.
Right. Oh. And so then literally I got the sense they were, the two of them are setting off to go to Alexandria. Right. That they're heading back. And that's when they come across the Rick helicopter. Yeah. And then we kind of get the end of last week's episode, but from their perspective.
Yeah, which I think is cool. I like when stories do that, when you see it from the different angles. It kind of reminds me of Black Summer.
Yes.
When you see that, that attack in the beginning, and you see it, the one on the street, and you see it from all the different angles, from different perspectives. Loved that.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. And and I also like too that this time around, when Michonne was killing the other soldiers, she did take their helmets off.
Yeah,
because we were kind of nitpicking that last week. Like, it's really convenient that the one soldier she doesn't just kill, she takes his helmet off first. Turns out to be Rick.
yeah. I'm still not convinced. I kind of want to go back and watch that scene from the first episode, because I'm not convinced that she did take off any of their masks or whatever. She just
totally didn't.
Them.
Yes. Yeah. That again, this is kind of a rewriting, a little retconning here.
Yeah.
Because in the Rick episode in whatever it was called, Time, or whatever was the first episode was titled. Yes. Yeah. He is on the ground and he's kind of crawling to try and reach his rifle. And behind him, you see her, and she's just walking up to the guys and slicing their throats.
Yeah, with no hesitation. There's no time between it, which in this showing, there was a little bit of time.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then they have this great reunion, and we get a lot more, and they hug. And I'm not going to lie, that was a cool moment.
Yeah. It sure was.
To see them finally together. And then, of course, Nat has I've done everything that I'm here to do. I'm going to now go back to my trailer, and they kill him.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I know. It's too bad. It was too bad.
It is too bad. And then, so 2 really heartbreaking things happen right after each other, which is Nat is shot. Mm-hmm. And then Rick's response was, I'm sorry. It was very there wasn't a lot of emotion, because he's already struggling with the whole, hey, how do we deal with this next? It's almost like Nat getting shot sort of woke him up, like, oh my God, we're in danger. Mm-hmm. And so he was struggling and was like, I'm sorry. Like, that was the best he could do in the moment. So Nat dies, and then Rick is like, so when they get here, you just have a different name and whatever. And as soon as he started saying that, I was like, what the actual F is happening here? Like, why is he?
Yeah.
So what do you think they could have gotten away?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I again, the fact that he wouldn't even try, it just, I had a real problem with the end of this episode.
You could have easily, like, you could have staged it to make it look like Nat did everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's going to take the CRM time to sift through the wreckage to try and find all the bodies from the helicopter. So they're not even going to immediately know that he's not there.
Right.
And for him to just not even, again, this is the guy who's tried to escape, 4 or 5 times and cut off his damn hand trying to get away from these people. And now he has his woman and he's out. And his first thought is, well, we got to go back with him.
I know. And here's the thing, though. it all sounds really easy, and like I said, could they have gotten away? Was there any possible way for them to get away before the rest of the CRM gets there? Of course there was a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you deal with the whole, like, well, obviously he ran off again. Where's that place he's from again? Alexandria?
Yeah. And you know, and again, and I was thinking about that too. Here's the thing about that. From my perspective, and that is, if I'm Rick, you got to call their bluff on that move, because as far as you know, they've already obliterated Alexandria based on how he has seen them operate all these years, right? There is a very good chance that, you know what, they already wiped that little town off the map, and you have to just be under the assumption of, you know what, I don't care, I'm leaving. And I also have a real hard time with this idea that this is a city of 200,000 people, and yet he can't get away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, he's one person. It's not like it's a prison. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like, no, you could get away. And I understand that, you know, the threat is what's keeping him, I guess. You know, that's a good motivation to basically say, if you try and leave, we're going to go blow up everybody, you know, type thing. I get it. But like I said, it's just like, really, you're going to waste all the resources to go, you know, from Philadelphia into Virginia to blow up this little city that doesn't even know you exist for the most part. And you know, okay, I have a real hard time with it. And the other thing I have a real hard time with Rick's decision to go back is that he knows Jadis is there.
Yeah, which we just found out in this episode too.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and clearly, you know, not only does he know Jadis is there, he knows Jadis is like part of them, right? And even if she's not involved with the orientation of Michonne when she's going through the process to enter the city, what if she just walks by and goes, hey, there's Michonne? You know what I mean? It's just like, no, it's like, I had a real problem. Rick made a lot of un-Rick decisions in this episode as far as I was concerned. What did you think about that?
I think.
Well said.
I think. I mean, he has a reason to be nervous about them. And the thing about the thing is that in the moment when we see him making that decision, we don't know the Jadis thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that's. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say if he's justified in being scared of, you know, the CRM coming in, of, you know, Jadis blabbing or whatever. It's, yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So good. Don't get me wrong. The end scene with Jadis was awesome because I really like Pollyanna McIntosh.
Yeah. And she's killing it.
Yeah, she is, and she's got that dippy haircut, right? And she's awesome. I love her, but I'm like, Rick, you are way too smart to know, and also you're way too much of a troublemaker to just voluntarily be like, well, we just got to go back with them. I'm sorry. Yeah, and again, I get it. This is the story that Gimple wants to tell. Mm-hmm. Right. And so obviously they had to get Michonne into the CRM so they could have, you know, the two of them doing their secret, you know, we're going to take it down from the inside kind of thing, even though she asks him, can we take it down? And he says no, but that's what they're going to do. Right. So I understand that was just a story decision. Is like, we have to get Michonne into the CRM so that the two of them can be doing all that stuff. I just didn't buy it. I just didn't think that Rick would have just been like, you know, they kiss. Oh my God, you're alive. I can't believe it. You know, the little guy gets blown away. And then it's like, we got to go. And then they make a run for the tree line, you know, and that's how the episode should have ended. But whatever. It's where we are.
And then figure it out from there.
Yeah, right. You know, and again, you know, what else, you know, it's the two of them, they can accomplish anything. So once they get away, they're good, you know. So but I had real problems with that. But again, the Jadis scene was amazeballs.
I loved it.
I loved. Oh my God, it was so great when she brought back the trash Jadis with the yes, yes, yes. That was so.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved that moment.
That was really well done. Really good job, Gimple.
Oh yeah, it was. It was a wonderful, wonderful callback. And
although
then,
he didn't write it, it was Channing Powell.
I know. Yeah, you're right. It was. And actually, Channing Powell, she wrote a lot of the Jadis episodes.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, she, like I said,
that.
she did 18 of the episodes from seasons 4 through 10. So she was right there, a little bit before Jadis, but then through Jadis's arc all the way through season 10. So
yeah.
But then at the end, then just when she looks at him and she says some weird stuff to him, like she said, like, I kept like the katana. I knew it was hers, but I kept that off the report, and I didn't, basically saying I didn't rat. I didn't.
Yeah.
Blow your little story here.
Yeah.
And then she says something like, "This is not part of our other deal."
Right.
And I'm like, "Ooh, what does that mean?"
I know. I'm dying to find out.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And then it's just so great because she goes, "I have to ask you something, and pardon the language, but what the fork are you doing?" It was like, oh, that was awesome. Because again, she from World Beyond, we know she's a badass, right?
Oh yeah, and she's high up.
She is.
She's worked her way up.
She's high up, and she's clearly in. Her job is to root out the troublemakers.
Yeah.
And internal security and all that. So, obviously she knows Rick, she knows what kind of guy he is, she knows Michonne, what she's capable of. And so, like, clearly, like, okay, whatever it is you think you're going to do, you're not,
Yeah.
But yeah, I again, as much as I hate how they got there, I love that scene.
Yeah. I love the way it unfolded too, because, while she's doing her little interview there and she looked in the mirror,
mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, I just, I haven't seen myself in a while."
Recorded?
Yeah. She's like,
no,
not at all. And then later on, when they showed, like, from the other side, the camera, I was like, oh, this is Jadis. This is so Jadis. And then all of the little things where you don't see her face, you see, like, the lock where she opens the door. And as soon as I was like, oh, she's in Rick's apartment without question. And then the whiskey, like pouring the whiskey, I was like, oh god,
she's just setting it up.
Getting it all set up. She's teeing it up. Yeah, definitely my, like, probably my favorite scene in the whole episode.
And again, I loved it too. I also thought it was really a cool way to kind of bookend the episode, in that the episode opens and Michonne is being interviewed by Ellie and the Caravan people. And she says, "My name is Michonne, and I'm from a group, and blah blah blah." And then we get to the end, and she's being interviewed by the CRM again. So you kind of get this double. And now the second time through, she, under Rick's coaching, is fibbing a little, and she says her name is Dana, and she did pull some real things from her life, because I think she mentioned her sister and so on. But again, she's making it all up, and trying to appear to be a bee.
Yeah.
So they'll keep her. But I just thought that was a real cool way to kind of bookend the whole episode, that you start with an interview and then you kind of finish with an interview, but totally different circumstances. So
absolutely. I liked that the name, like, they made, like you said, like, she, part of her story, air quotes, had some elements of truth in it, because then it's more easy to,
you can remember it.
Yeah, you can remember and recall what you've said. So I thought that it was really well done, really well done. And it's good too, because you're watching this and you're like, yeah, Michonne she's good. She knows what she's doing. It's very Carol, Carol doing the, gosh, I don't know. And,
let me make you some cookies.
She did a good job. She played a role in that moment, Yeah. And it came across really well done. The only thing I think that I thought was really interesting is that she didn't tell him about RJ.
Yes, that's
because
true.
I think
later.
I think that would have made a really big difference in this moment where he decided between, run or stay, run away with you or whatever. But I'm curious what she's going to say later, because she's got to tell him eventually. And she's holding it back.
That might be important.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, so I'm curious to see what she uses as her reasoning, I wonder if it'd be, if they're still monitoring Alexandria, because maybe Jadis does from time to time. It'd be interesting if Jadis is the one that lets it slip. Oh, he didn't know that he's got a son, that you gave him a son. Like, why wouldn't you tell him? Like, and create like friction or whatever, you know what I mean? Because she's really good at it. I think that'd be really, really interesting if that's how Rick finds out. Oh, he'd be so pissed.
Well, he would, but it's weird. I could see it affecting him both ways. In that one way, it'd be like he wants to leave even more. Mm-hmm. But the other way would be, well, now he has even more to not get blowed up, so he's going to stay, right? So to keep more to keep safe and more to get back to. So I don't know, but definitely if Michonne doesn't tell him and Jadis does, there's going to be a talking that Michonne's going to get. But it was weird because she starts to tell him and then she doesn't. Right. And she's like, yeah, there or where. And he's like, what? And she's like, later, like basically.
Yeah, there's more to tell you. It'll be later. Yeah.
Yeah.
She makes a decision right then and there for some reason. Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing it's because it's like, hey, you know what? We kind of have to, it's either we got a shirt or get off the pot here because the helicopters are coming and we're out in the middle of a field. And it's like, now is not the time to rehash where we've been for the last 6 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. But you're right. It's definitely got to come up at some point here that he has to know. And what is his reaction going to be? And not that she didn't tell him. Just what is his reaction going to be that when he finds out he has a son that he's never seen? Is that going to encourage him to leave, or is that going to encourage him to no? We have to stay here now because. We can't put them in danger. Although he kind of seemed to have like a plan, right? That they're going to get away.
Yeah.
He kept saying that. So I'm guessing he has an exit plan in mind, that they're going to try and make a break for it at some point. But
yeah, they're going to do something.
We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm glad Jadis is back in it because like I said, I love Pollyanna and she rocked it in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've covered everything on our list. Is there anything you think you missed out on here?
I don't think so. No, like I said, overall the episode it didn't grab me, but there were lots of great little moments in there that I really enjoyed. So
yeah. It just, I think when it comes to the things that disappointed us or didn't pull us in or maybe took us out of the episode, they're things that. We know that, Channing Powell and that Gimple and Denai and Andy, we know that they can do more and do better things. Mm-hmm. And we want to see things that, we don't want to have a moment where you're like, would that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
We don't want those moments, but yes, agreed. It's a million times better than any episode of Fear the Walking Dead.
Yes.
So it's still good TV.
Oh, and I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And and actually mentioning Fear, I did think of one thing I wanted to bring up that I didn't, and that is in this show. The little walkie-talkies actually have a limited range.
And we talk about it. Right. I think you might still be. Yeah, it was Nat who was like, I think you might be out of range, but it's a good place.
It's just, I couldn't believe it. Almost to the point where you think they're like sticking it to the Fear guys.
See, man, you can't use these for unlimited distances.
Oh, man, I laughed out loud when she's walking around going, Shoto, and it's just like, are you like down the street from her? Because then you'd probably get her, but you're not. You're like two states away.
No.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Oh, man.
So funny. All right.
Well, awesome. We covered everything. We did it. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to discuss our listener feedback and what's coming up on the podcast.
So, everyone, please stick around. The chlorine gas is coming, and we'll be right back.
The following is an emergency action message. Civil authorities have identified a biological threat that they deem credible. This threat could potentially affect the entire continental United States.
The dead are returning to life and attacking the living.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a man on bat and he's attacking another man. Looks like he's biting him, like on the arm.
The initial signs are puzzling, unclear.
Getting pulled out of their cars and thrown to the ground. It looks like the bus passengers are biting their victims.
Soon, however, the reality is clear and undeniable.
The crisis involving the recently dead continues. Parliament today passed a law that requires all bodies of the recently deceased to be registered and turned...
Toxic Bag Productions has captured the sounds of the zombie apocalypse and brought them to your gaming table. Background ambiences, zombie attacks, and radio transmissions that set the scene for your modern zombie adventure. Download MP3s from drivethrurpg.com or toxicbag.com.
Hi, this is Tom Savini, and you're listening to the Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And don't forget to always aim for the head, because body shots just don't work.
Hey, everybody. We are back here. We're going to jump right into our listener feedback with both feet first. So, yeah, that's the best way to jump in, because if you break your ankles, then your head will still be intact, you know.
That's right.
Clearly, somebody just watched Midsummer. Yeah, sorry about that visual, folks. Anyway,
poor Shooty.
Yeah, I know. So let's jump right in. And our first piece of feedback we got in was from our pal Amelia from the Pitney and Amelia show. Hey.
Well, hello, Amelia.
Hello. Amelia sent this in via the emails as usual. And she wrote in some stuff about kind of covering both the first and the second episode. So she says, hey, long time. I just couldn't get myself past a couple episodes of Darrow La Petite Fromage, or whatever that thing was. And I love nuns, so I must have really been bored. But this, the Rochon show is really good. I mean, we don't know crap about the CRM over here, and I figured they'd give us just enough information to know what's going on, and maybe I've decided not to care too much, and I'm not learning any new characters' names because they all gonna die anyway. Just give me some Rick Grimes covered in Ick Grime. See what I did there? Yes,
I do.
And some scenes of Michonne shotoing into Owaki, and I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, crap. Let's see what I've got to comment on. Jadis's hair, banging. She's bringing back that salad bowl do, and I am here for it. You know, Pitney had that haircut when he was in kindergarten. For real. Put a shirt on Jadis with a motocross dude on it. Twinsies. And yeah, I said I'm not learning anyone's name, but pour one out for my man Nat. One of the most well-rounded characters in the Walking Dead universe. And oh no, he dead already. Like, I get it that we don't have time to drag new people around, but dramatic slow-mo, Nat! We don't deserve you, you cute little pyromaniac. They're moving things along at a good pace, so hey, maybe we'll have a Commonwealth moment in a few weeks. What do y'all think? First of all, amazing feedback as always, Amelia. We've missed you. And I don't know, because we brought up the whole idea that, I mean, the Commonwealth is right there. It's right there in Ohio. There's no reason why they wouldn't know that that community exists.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about. That how can they not know? What's the Commonwealth got? 40,000 people?
Yeah.
And they're not hiding either.
Yeah.
They're just 40,000 people, right? So,
yeah.
And they're armed. They got stormtroopers and, you know, guys like that. So, yeah, that's something I'm struggling with as well. But as far as will we see them in this show, I gotta say no, probably not.
No, because if they did, then we'd have to see all of the folks from the main series.
Right.
And that hasn't been discussed. Maybe if they do a season 2, You know, in some way, maybe there'd be some connection happening there. I don't know.
Well, I think they've already, and then they announced that season 2 is called the Book of Carol.
It's called the Book of Ezekiel because he's the one that runs the Commonwealth.
There we go. I like it.
There you go. And I want to say, Amelia, you made the comment about how we don't know crap about the CRM, but I'm not sure. And you made the comments about Jadis's hairdo, so I'm not sure. Did you watch The World Beyond? Because I can't remember if we got feedback from you during that time.
Yeah,
but I gotta say, if you did not, and you want to learn some more about the CRM and what they're all about, and you want to see way more of Jadis's banging haircut, then I gotta say, season 2 of World Beyond.
World Beyond, yeah, like the last 5 episodes, it's a lot of Jadis.
Yeah, it's a lot of Jadis, a lot of CRM, lots of background. And for folks that don't know, the people that are in the World Beyond, they are from the Omaha group.
Yes.
So if you haven't, and you know, obviously episode 1 kind of gives away what's going to happen in Omaha, but if you want to see that group, that's how you're going to see it. Now, season 1, not great because they're teenagers being teenager-y, and it kind of needed to find its feet. And once it did, season 2, so good. So very good.
It had some good moments, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, let's put it this way, it was a show about teenagers doing teenager-y things, and it was by and far better than Fear the Walking Dead on any day of the week, I would say.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was 90210 Ghoul.
Yes. And it was good. You know, it was very good.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for writing in, Amelia. If you haven't watched War Beyond, we highly recommend it. It'll give you some great, backstory on the CRM and more of Jadis's crazy haircut.
And I just have to tell you, going back to World Beyond, if you thought that Nate was an adorable little pyromaniac, you're going to love Eldon.
Yeah. Yes. He's great.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, thanks for writing in, man. It's awesome as always.
Good to hear from you again.
All right, so moving along, our next piece of feedback came from our pal Erica Price. And,
hi, Erica.
Hello, Erica. And she sent this via the Facebook. And she says, tonight's episode was worlds better than last week. I was going to give feedback, but missed the deadline, so I'll be brief. It was way too gimply-y. Too much chit-chat, too much hand-wringing, and even though the timeline spanned years, it didn't seem to go anywhere until the last couple of minutes. I agree. This week was fast-paced, action-packed, and very heartfelt. I really like Nat. I think that's a comment we're going to hear a lot. So, of course, he had to get shot, and she has kind of the roll your eyes emoji. And
of course.
Look, all of those characters, it's like, are we going to do the whole show with them? No, we are not. So they're dead. You knew that. I think you had to see that coming, right?
Yeah.
She goes, Rick's plan was really the only option.
Was it so?
I don't, not sure, but okay. And Michonne played it so well until Jadis. Dun, dun, dun. Do you think they can single-handedly eliminate the almighty CRM? I'm not sure, but they'll need a lot more turncoats if they want to fight. Maybe Pearl can recruit for them. Until next week, don't get bit.
This is true. You know what's interesting with Erica, with you bringing them in, thank you for writing in, there was someone shared on Twitter, we didn't talk about it last week, but there's a little, if you blink, you would have missed it. In the scene where Rick has like the furlough day and he's in the city and sees Esteban this
again,
guy who's his pal, and they're like doing like a little picnic area thing, and that's when he gets the information about where would this like thing where would this train go, right?
And what's the code to open the door and all that stuff. Yeah.
Now when they first show that scene, when they first show that part, there's like 2 people off to the side. If you look at them, they have protest signs.
Really?
And you look for them. I noticed them, and then someone took a screenshot and showed them. It was like one of those, we're going to meet in the park and talk about the things that upset us. And it's if they screenshot and they show the signs, and the signs are things that say like CRM, too much control. Because remember, the city is the city and the CRM is separate and they're outside. Right. You know what I mean? Like the city has its own government, apparently, or at least that's how it seems. But anyway, my point is that you may be right, Erica. If there may be some some rebellion happening from within that they might be able to capitalize on. So they showed a couple of breadcrumbs there. I mean, they have 6 episodes. They aren't going to show people with protest signs unless that's going to become a thing. That's going to be shown later on. So I thought it was interesting, especially since, didn't we just go through with this at the Commonwealth where they had to deal with, there was an uprising there. But this was a little bit more out there for everybody to see kind of thing. It wasn't hidden like it was on the Commonwealth, but
okay.
Yeah. So look for that.
Cool.
Look for that seed again. And I would absolutely guarantee that we're going to see that happen again, without question.
All right. Let's hope so, because I'm going to have to go back and watch that, because I did not notice those guys. So,
thanks for writing in, Erica. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Erica. Love you.
Next up, we got an email from our pal across the pond, Bev2. Hello, Bev.
Hello, Bev.
Bev wrote in and says via the emails, hi guys, it was so nice to have you back last week. I got to listen to you on the train home from London. Steve, that's the train, not the tube. The tube goes underground.
Yes, okay, Steve. Look, English person, don't be telling me about what England's like, even though I've never been there. I know, okay?
You will be England adjacent in the fall, though.
I am. I'm going to the Greenland in September, but not Greenland, the country, but the Greenland of England, which would be Ireland. So, but I thank you for correcting me. I just assumed that the train system did both, where it was underground for sometimes and above ground for sometimes. But that's good to know.
Now we know. Listen, we're learning as we listen to the podcast. Yeah,
we really are.
That's what we like to be, educational folks.
Absolutely.
So Bev continues by saying, what another great episode. They really aren't hanging about. There are so many great new characters. I kind of wish they'd slow down a bit. On the subject of the new characters, I was even more shocked than last week that they all died. I knew the couple who we met first were going to die. They had Shreddy written all over them. But the other guy was a complete shock. Obviously, Nat is who she's talking about. Yep. She continues on and says, it was so wonderful to see Rick and Michonne back together again. But what do we think about Rick talking her into going back to the CRM with him? I'm a little concerned about his motives. He couldn't escape all those years. Why does he think the two of them have a better chance? I had an uneasy feeling as soon as Michonne was being interviewed that Jadis would be looking on, but the fact that she had been in contact with Rick all this time was a real sideswipe. The whole thing with Rick and Jadis at the end gave me an uneasy feeling. Could our hero really be broken? What if he has no intention of escaping? What if he selfishly just wants to keep his wife there with him? The answer to these questions and more next week. No, I'm just kidding.
Same ghoul time, same ghoul channel.
Continuing on, she says, I'm just not sure our heroes are on the same page, which is worrying. Steve may get the bleak ending he wants, whereas I want it to end with everyone together again.
Well, they're all going to be together in my ending. They're just going to be dead together. I mean, come on.
They'll be shuffling along together.
That's right.
Yeah, shambling, as it were. She continues and says, well, future episodes will answer all my questions soon enough. In the meantime, could they stop giving us great new characters just to kill them off by the end? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts, Bev, who says, P.S. back in Devon after a successful trip to London to discuss new jigsaw puzzles. Wow. I want that life. I want to discuss new jigsaw puzzles.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like jigsaw puzzles.
No, jealous.
No, very majorly jelly.
We're majorly jelly of you, Bev, who gets to talk about jigsaw puzzles.
That's awesome.
Thanks for writing in. Great questions. Yes, we're concerned too, and yes, we have yucky feelings in our belly about the whole thing. It's we'll have to see how it all shakes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? As far as like the characters we really like getting introduced and then bumped off, I think that's going to slow down now.
Yeah.
No, I think we're going to see kind of the cast that we were introduced to in episode 1 for the rest of the run. So it's going to be more of Jadis, more of Beale, and more of Pearl. Is that the South African's name?
Yes.
Yeah. So I always forget what I know her as Leslie Ann Brand because she was Mace on the Lucifer show on Fox all those years back. So that's what I see her. I'm like, it's Mace, but it's Pearl. So I think those are the ones we're going to see primarily now going forward. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what's going to happen. So, but awesome feedback.
Thanks again, Bev, for writing in. Always good to hear from you.
Absolutely. All right. So moving along, our next piece of feedback came from our pal Karen. I'm not related to Lauren Cohen. And this came in via the Facebook. And she says, wow, really great episode. Nat was awesome. So they, of course, had to kill him right when I thought he was safe for the episode.
I know, right?
Yeah, yep. The dying breath death shot. Oh, how many times, right?
Yep.
She goes on to say, Michonne was ruthless when she was cutting the throats of those CRM soldiers before she got to Rick. Really angry and gruesome. I thought that Bailey and Aiden's names should have been switched. What, you're pregnant? Time to die. Why didn't Rick and Michonne run for it and hide before the other helicopters got there? I know, right? That was my thing. I'm like, come on, you guys can totally make it, but whatever. She goes on to say, I feel like there was enough time to form a plan. I agree. I guess I like the F-bomb drop at the end, but I would have preferred it had come from Michonne. Rick, where the F is your hand? Oh, yeah. That was a fun little moment when she touched it and went, oh. And he went,
this is new.
And he went, yeah, that was a while ago, and it was fun. Then she goes on to say, for just joining the CRM, she sure had a lot of free reign to walk around by herself looking around. Now they are both trapped there. Yes, yes, yes. And that is a little yes, yes, yes from Jadis. And then she finishes it off with cheers. And yeah, you're right. It would have been fun to have Michonne like touch his hand and be like, what the F? And then they cut to black. That would have been cool.
Yeah. What is happening here?
But again, I agree with you. I that was the biggest issue I had with this was Rick just immediately going, well, we have no chance except to let them get us. When they're in the clearing, that it didn't even be like, hey, we got to go now. Let's, grab a gun and a bullet and run for it. No, it's just, we got to wait. And so anyway, I agree with you, Karen, a lot that was questionable storytelling, but a lot of great moments in the episode. Absolutely. So thank you so much for writing in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Karen. Next up, we got a couple of messages on Facebook from our pal, Teresa Harper. Teresa commented on one of my posts and said on Facebook, and said, this one was my favorite so far. Her acting was amazing, and Nat was an added jewel to her story. I'm so excited to see how this story goes. And then on another post that I did looking for feedback, she said, more thoughts, which was, oh my gosh, it was so good. I laughed, I cried, then got worried at the end with garbage Jadis / Anne. She threw a wrench in the plan. What now? Wow. 10 out of 10 for me. Another amazing episode.
Wow, 10 out of 10. That's awesome.
High praise, Teresa. Very high praise.
It is. And again, you're right. Jadis saved the episode for me a lot because, again, these very weird decisions were made right before she showed up. And I was kind of like, really? And then I'm like, ooh, when she was in there, you know what I mean? So I went from not enjoying it to I enjoyed a lot. So Jadis really helped me in my enjoyment of this particular episode. Absolutely.
Definitely tempered the feelings for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for writing in multiple times, Teresa.
Multiple times. That's awesome.
Never leave too much feedback, people.
I know.
Live by Teresa's example.
That's right. If you want to break it up into 10 parts, we're good with that.
Whatever.
Absolutely. All right. So moving along, we got even more feedback via the Facebook. Woo. And this came from our pal Judy Gardner. Hello, Judy. And she goes, I really wish this was going to be more than 6 episodes. I'll have to go through withdrawal yet again when it's over.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you won't have too long to wait before either Dead City or Daryl or something will come back on the air with new stuff, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
She goes on to say their reunion was great, but killing off Nat was so sad. He was fantastic. Can't wait to see that actor in other stuff. And yes, I think we both agree that great character, great performance, great actor. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
She goes on with, I agree with the previous post about Michonne having the freedom to just walk around alone. Had to suspend, and she must be referring to Karen's stuff
about
that
how
she
posted. Was able to just walk anywhere.
Yeah. So she posted after Karen had, so she had got a chance to read that because otherwise she has access to our accounts. Oh my god. But she goes, I agree with that post about having to walk alone. Had to suspend disbelief, like having a walkie-talkie that never seems to run out of power and a lighter that never runs out of lighter fluid. And how was that mall not looted? That was a Diana point. Or harboring people, right? Why aren't there people living in there if it's this great safe haven? But on that one, I will say that we did see there were ghouls inside there. When he's trying to pick the lock with the lock picks, she's kind of slicing through the door with the katana. So that might explain why there aren't people. But yeah, why it's not picked clean? Very good question. Absolutely. Yeah. She goes on to say, but hey, I'm watching a show about a zombie apocalypse, so I'm getting really good at the suspending stuff. And then she has two of the crying, I'm laughing so hard emojis. Then she goes, Denai is so good. Andrew is so good. And now we come to Jadis. This should be great. And I think we agree. Yes, it is going to be awesome. And she goes, can't wait till Michonne lights up the world with that lighter, because she will. And what's with the gas man? Who did that? And again, that's what we were saying. It's like you want more, right? You want to know, what was that dude's story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe they'll do like an internet miniseries, The Gas Man. That'd be cool.
Little webisodes.
Little webisodes, right? Explaining how he went from a homeless guy in like Boston and migrating and worked his way down and eventually got eaten and can join the herd. It could be a whole thing. I could totally see it. Anyway, thank you so much, Judy, for your feedback. That was awesome. Some really interesting points, and I think we were pretty much in agreement with just about everything you said, so we are right on the same wavelength there.
Right there. Excellent. Thanks for writing in, Judy. We appreciate it. Next up, we got some feedback from our good pal, Alma Contreras. Alma, thanks for writing in.
Hello, Alma.
She sent us her feedback via the Facebook, and she says, what can I say but damn, this was a great emotional episode. We can count on one hand how many times we have seen Michonne cry. She makes a good point. This episode had me crying almost the entire time, and mostly because of what a great job Denai did. Bravo for giving us a great emotional performance. At first, I was upset Rick didn't just run off with Michonne. Why would he get her stuck there, too?
Good point.
And damn you, showrunners, for introducing some cool characters just to kill them off. And then in a row, she has the facepalm emoji, the angry emoji with the, the stuff on the face, like covering up your mouth and saying bad words, and then the shedding the floods of tears.
The crying emoji.
Which sounds great. Stupid, I'm angry, and I'm crying.
Yes.
She goes on to say, at least we are finally getting to see the CRM's true vicious and villainous ways. That bomb dropping for no apparent reason was very disturbing. Our heroes really need to get the hell out of there. Looking forward to tuning in and hearing y'all's take on this fabulous episode with a smooch emoji. Aw, that's so sweet.
That's awesome.
Oh, thanks so much for the feedback, Alma. Yeah, I mean, we knew going in that the CRM were not warm and fuzzy, but they definitely showed a new sort of heinous side to themselves this episode, for sure.
I do not agree with it, but they're being logical about it, right? And that is any group is a threat to them. And so it's again, their whole approach is it's just easier to just wipe everybody out and not try and figure out who are the good ones and who are the bad ones. And you kill everybody, then nobody can hurt you, right? And it's cold and it's emotionless, but there is a logic there, and it's a very cruel calculus. But that's how they've managed to get as big and powerful as they are, right? Yeah. Now the question is, like you pointed out, there are protesters, there are people in the city that clearly are not happy with what's going on. So. Is there enough there for is Rick and Michonne going to be the spark that really sets off the rebellion? And will the CRM change like Okafor wanted it to? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But yeah, absolutely. But thanks so much, Alma, for writing in.
Thank you.
All right, so this last piece of feedback, and oh my God, this is the OG right here. I gotta say, it is
for sure.
Absolutely, this came via the Facebook, and this is from our pal Diane, who was one of the biter ladies, and we met, did many crossover episodes with them. We were on their podcast, they were on our podcast, we did podcasts together, the whole thing. We miss you guys a ton. And she wrote in, and this is great. She said, she goes, none of the new people had plot armor. Their deaths were sadly obvious. And then she goes, I liked it nonetheless. And then she goes, signed, a blast from the past.
I love that.
Diane, we miss you guys so much. So hope you're doing well, and keep the feedback coming. If you get a moment to jot down some notes, that'd be awesome, because we love to hear what you have to say. And I agree with you 100% that I really like these characters, but I had no illusions that they were all going to die horribly before the episode was over. So I was sad. I was not surprised.
No, not at all. Nat surprised me a little bit, only because I considering that he made it all the way to the end like that, I really thought that I didn't think he was going to survive, but I thought that they'd have him be with Michonne for like maybe another episode or so.
Or two. Yeah.
But
no such
anyway. Nope. It's the zombie apocalypse, and don't fall in love with characters. Duly noted. Yep. All right. So,
hey, people, we're no longer in fear, so people are going to die.
People are going to actually die. It's going to happen.
Yep.
So thanks for all the feedback, everybody. Coming up on the podcast next week, we will be discussing episode 3, which is titled Bye. As we made jokes about previously, if you didn't get the naming convention, that means that episode 1 was years, episode 2 was gone, and 3 was bye, years gone by. I
see what they're doing.
It's so fucking Gimple. But anyway, it's still it's okay. It's okay. We'll see. No episode description yet, but we did get some great clips for next week. Looks like we've got some, between the Jadis stuff, and it's tense with Michonne being there. Now Pearl is in on the action. Meets Michonne. There's some scene where she's questioning. She doesn't trust her. She doesn't know. So it looks like there's going to be a lot more tense, like we don't know what's going to happen next kind of scenes in next week's episode. So looking forward to that. And like you said, the Jada stuff was really great in this episode. So I'm looking forward to, because she's great at the conflict stuff. So I feel like next week's going to have a lot of really good conflict.
Let's hope so. Yeah, the scenes, we see a lot of Pearl interacting with Michonne, and we're not really sure about Pearl yet, right? We don't know what side she's on, and it from what I saw, you get the sense that Pearl is told Michonne's backstory and then sees her she's kind of at the wall where Rick was, shooting the walkers with the pole through the hole, and is doing it really well to the point where Pearl's like, I don't believe any of the crap you're saying is your backstory. Yeah. And kind of going, who are you really? And so we'll have to see, you have to think she's eventually going to be on the good guys, but maybe not. Maybe she's going to end up joining Jadis. I don't know, but that's kind of looks like it's going to be the heart of this episode, is that the two of them that are now together, they're going to try and grow to 3 that are going to
Right.
be working on the plan or whatever. But yeah, I'm disappointed they didn't give us a description yet, but I am definitely excited to see what is going to unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be tense. It's gonna be great. It's gonna have a really bad haircut, but I'm still gonna love it. So that's next week. Yes. Next week. And this past weekend, Steve and I went to go see Dune 2.
Yes, we did.
On the IMAX. Yes.
Oh,
and
amazing.
it was amazing. It was amazing. Really, there's just like, I'm running out of like adjectives and superlatives to use. It's just was so great.
Yeah. If you are a fan of the book, you're going to love it because it is the most faithful adaptation that they've done so far and will probably ever do. Right. And it's almost 3 hours long, but it doesn't feel like it's almost 3 hours long.
No.
It really moves very well. And it was the IMAX. I thought some of the desert scenes were just jaw dropping.
Yes.
So that was amazing to see it in. But even if that's not available to you, if you like, space opera and sci-fi, you should go see it because it's really good.
Yeah, just a regular big screen would probably be just as crazy. Like you said, if you don't have an IMAX near you.
Yeah.
Plus it costs way more to go to the
Oh
IMAX,
God, yeah, it did. But it's totally worth it.
Oh yeah.
And just to see the 65 times that Zendaya frowns in this movie is worth it. So
Yes, exactly. She was just like Esteban was for Rick. All she was giving was scowls.
That's it.
That whole movie.
I mean, it's Timothy Chalamet does something, and then they cut to a reaction shot of her, and she's frowning.
Like,
I mean, it's just like, I hope you got paid by the frown because you did it a lot. But
she sure did.
But we're just joking. It's a great movie. It really is.
It's fantastic. If you were on the fence, which I don't know why you would be, then don't be and go.
Go. Yes. Go.
And we're a little bit over 2 weeks until Days of the Dead here in Chicago.
Yep.
We are excited about that. Lots of great guests coming, and we will for sure be there Saturday at least.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go Friday, definitely on Friday and Saturday, because Friday's a good autograph day.
Oh, it's your autograph day.
It's less people than Saturday and Sunday, but Sunday we'll see. The only thing about it that I'm disappointed in is that Michael Cudlett's canceled.
Yeah,
that was too bad, and
it would have been so great because Days of the Dead is such a nice and it's like a smaller venue, so it's so much more intimate.
Yeah,
it would have been so great. We could have had some really great conversation with him and totally could have gotten him to do a drop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like I said, on Friday is the least attended day, and you can get a good 5-10 minutes with, these people without feeling like you're holding up the line. And so, we could have, I know for sure we could have talked to him and said, we do this podcast and it's crazy. And we got Ross Marquand and Greg Nicotero. We'd love for you to do a drop and we'll pay you an autograph. And he'd be like, yeah, let's do it. It would have been great. Yeah. So that's really disappointing that he, for whatever reason, something came up scheduling wise and he couldn't make it. So, but
it's
we'll catch you in the next
because
one.
we know, I mean, for a while we were dealing with people getting back to work after the pandemic, and now it's people that are trying to get back to the work after the
strikes,
all of the strikes from last year. So, we can't begrudge them. If he's got a gig and he's got to get to it, then he's got to get to it.
Absolutely.
Hopefully,
absolutely.
If he was considering coming before, he'll consider coming again. So, maybe we'll get a chance to see him, because it's not like we're not going to go to this con again.
No, you're right. And there's the November one they've already started announcing guests for. Even though it's 8 months away, they still are, and so maybe they'll add them to that one. But we'll have to see. And again, there's other shows. There's C2E2, there's Fan Expo, so there's other places we could see him as well. It's just that was kind of a bummer because I was really that was like made it show that much cooler. It was like, and we're gonna get to meet Cuddlets again. And
I know.
And then suddenly you're like, oh, he canceled, and I'm like, what?
he's so sweet too. I was really, really looking forward to it, but I just, we'll have to catch him the next time. That just sucks.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So we're gonna have a good time. We'll definitely be hanging with our pal Summer from the Dolls of Horror podcast. She will be there running the panels. I'm sure we'll be all over social media with goofy pictures with her and stuff like that. Yeah. So if you guys are in the area, or if you are close enough, you want to go to a really cool horror convention, that's definitely, we always recommend. Days of the Dead's a great one to go to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You would have a ball.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
As Jadis likes to say, yes.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think we're good. I don't think we have anything else to chat about.
No, that pretty much wraps it up, I think.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything we need to cover. Great. Well, it's been great talking with you guys again this week. We look forward to chatting with you again next week. And as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
Don't forget to always aim for the head.
Because body shots, they just don't work. No.
To send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @AFTHpodcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to just like our Facebook page to get all of our updates in your feed.
Well, by the way,
how about you?
Well, before I tell you, I really hope while we're doing the recording that you use that sort of everything ends in a question kind of way you were just talking, because that would be awesome.
Thanks.
You're like, I liked it, but I had some problems.